Welcome to the Tony Gaskin Show, best-selling author, celebrity life coach, and international speaker. The purpose of this show is to bring you motivation, inspiration, and education in the areas of life, love, and business. Thank you for joining me. Now let's get started. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Talks with Tony. First question of the day. Hey, I love what you do. I'm inspired by your messages and I take them to heart. God has definitely blessed you and your messages have blessed me. Thank you so much for saying that. It really means a lot. Can you do a video, putting it on the podcast, on being friends with an ex? I have a person that we dated and have been in each other's lives for over 2 years. He's in the Army. He said I was his wife and told me he loved me very dearly and was so excited. And so that excited me and I felt, wow, I finally met my husband. That excitement dwindled and things changed, especially after he came home. I knew in my spirit, if I would have done it God's way, I would have cut ties long ago, but I ignored a lot of things. We finally had a convo, and I'm like, I can't do this. It's unhealthy for me. He's not stepping up, etc. He's being a grown boy. He stated that he wants to be friends and that we have a beautiful friendship, which we do love each other. But for me, it's unhealthy to be kicking it with someone when I'm trying to move on. How do you handle when your ex doesn't want to step up and put a ring on it and make a real commitment, but they want to stay in your life and quote unquote hang out? Thank you so much. Great question. Now, I always realize in these questions that there are always, seeds to the solution in the question. And so just like you said, if I would have done it God's way, I would have cut it. I would have cut it and we would have been done. Well, you have to remember that. Remember that thought. You cannot be friends with an ex-lover. You can be lover and friends if you're in a relationship with your lover, then your lover can be your best friend. So what he is saying to you in Manglish is, look, you're not the one. You're not the one. You have some of the qualities I want in a woman, but you don't have all of the qualities. And I'm looking for a woman with all of the qualities, because I believe that she's out there somewhere, and he'll never find a woman that's perfect and that has all of the qualities, but he doesn't know that. He doesn't realize that. Or he may not even want to be married and want to be, locked down to one woman. And so he's gotten you for what he feels you are worth. He's used you for what he feels you are worth. And now he wants to be able to continue to sow his wild oats, do his thing, live his life, and not have to answer to you. So by having you as a friend, he knows that he can kind of wiggle his way in and he can hook up with you and he can be friends with benefits. And I always say there are no benefits to being friends. There's no benefits to being friends with benefits. But there are benefits to a friendship. So meaning if you all were being friends and you're working towards marriage and you aren't, just caught up in this sex-driven relationship, then there are benefits because that friendship builds a firm foundation. But if you're not in that type of situation, y'all's relationship is over and you just want to be friends, you are, in fact, hindering yourself from attracting real love. And that's exactly what he wants to do. So what will happen here is if you meet someone else, he will then come back around and be super all over you and super into you because now you don't have time for him. So now he's coming back around full-fledged. He wants you, all this and that. But most likely, if you remain friends with him because it's your ex-lover, you won't meet anybody else that's worthwhile because subconsciously you'll be just drawn to him and you'll be thinking about him and you will ignore men. You will walk right past men because he's filling that void in your life. Because although he's just a friend,
because you love him, when you talk to him, he's filling the void of a lover. And then if y'all are connecting and hooking up, which you didn't say that you won't be, I believe there's a strong chance you are and that you will continue to, then he fills the void in your life, in your mind, but not in reality. So then other men, you block them and you don't give them the opportunity. The other side of that, you kind of half-heartedly in, half-hearted out. And so you know that you're wasting your time, you know you're spinning your tires. So you open your eyes to other men. You let another man in, but now because you're not all in, you're not fully connected, you just kind of shell of yourself. So what happens is one or two things. You give him really much of nothing. So as he doesn't get to see your full personality, who you are, how you are, you're not fully engaged, or you just kind of throw yourself to him and it's like, okay, let's go through the motions, let's have sex, let's do this and that. And you're just doing it because you're not really focused because you're still dealing with your ex. Now, that's what you do. On the flip side of that, when you meet this man, he finds out about your ex because your ex either just pops up, your ex name is popping up on your phone, your ex keeps calling you, he calls you, you don't answer, he calls you over and over and over, your phone keeps lighting up. The new guy is wondering, like, what's going on? Why are you getting all these calls? What is that name? What does that mean? Is that your brother? Is that your father? Like, what's up? Is that your coworker? Is your partner? Are you doing a partnership? Like, what's going on? And then you tell him about your ex, and then he's like, okay, it's a wrap. You're not ready for love. You're not ready to move on. And then you lose a good guy because you're not ready. So all of this comes into play. So in this situation, if he doesn't want, if he was your lover and it's not going to work on the love side, he's changed, he's flipped up the game, everything is different, then you got to drop him like a bad habit. You got to drop him like a bad habit and let him see what he's missed. No communication whatsoever, nothing on social media, nothing, no messages, no text, no phone calls, nothing. You have to drop him all the way completely and move forward. This will be a realization for yourself, because if he comes back around, it's like, okay, he can miss you. But if he comes back around, he needs to be a complete different person. He needs to look like a totally different person. You shouldn't be able to recognize the old him. It should feel so new, so brand new, so different that it's like, okay, I can give this guy a chance. If he still feels like the same person is similar, then he's coming back out of ego, not out of heart. So it's his ego bringing him back. He doesn't want to feel rejected. So he's coming back to claim what he feels is his. But you will be property, not a person.
We all want to smell great, right? Well, Perfume.com is doing something special for all you listeners. Visit Perfume.com and get up to 80% off brand name perfumes like Burberry, Calvin Klein, Dolce & Gabbana, and many more. These are 100% authentic fragrances with free shipping and returns, plus an additional 25% off when you use the code TONY25. That's TONY25. Visit Perfume.com today.
So you have to cut it, cold turkey, let it go, move forward with your life. Love yourself, invest in yourself, work on yourself, and then prepare to attract real love. And he has to realize, hey, I had a good woman and I let her go. But deep down, if you were the woman he felt like is for him, he wouldn't let you go. So you're not losing your man. You're not losing your man. You're letting go of someone else's man in order to prepare to meet your man. So that's what I want you to understand. Really get that in your spirit, drop it, and move forward. All righty, question number 2. Thank you so much for all that you do. I really hope you answer my question. I've been with my son's father for 3 years. During this time, he would hardly work. I tried my best to deal with him because of my son. I found out that he was cheating and I told him I was done. He begged and begged for me to give him another chance. I told him I couldn't just give him another chance. He would have to earn it, and he started cooking and spending more time with me, etc. I started a new job and was working crazy hours for training, and I have finals for school coming up, so I couldn't pay him much mind. A couple of days ago, he stays out all night and doesn't come in until 10 the next morning. Shortly after, a woman texts him asking if he's made it home okay. I went crazy, Tony. I threw his clothes out, poured water on them, and kicked him out. He said I was working a lot and it's just a one-time thing. What am I supposed to do if he's hardly What am I supposed to do if he's hardly bringing in any money? Why would he ask for a chance and do worse? Anyway, I'm crushed by this and don't want to see or speak to him. He claims he wants to keep coming around to see his son, but I can't stand the sight of him and will never give him another chance to hurt me. He says I can't keep him from his son and I don't want to. I just need some time. So I blocked his calls, blocked him on social media, everything. Am I wrong? How do I handle this? Thank you so much. May God bless you and your family infinitely. Enough love. Thank you so much for writing that. I did a video on this online, and it's always ruffles people's feathers when you're co-parenting and dealing like that. And you know what? He said you can't keep him from his son, and he's absolutely right. So if he's a good guy and he's okay to be around your son, so I mean, if it's like a situation to where he is not, getting drunk and getting high and he's not, hurting your son, then it's okay. And you don't have to see him. Like him coming around, let him just tell him like, look, you can come pick up our son. And then you have a friend or a family member or somebody who can be the mediator so that when he comes, they walk your son to the door and they hand your son off to him and then tell him, take him to a park or to a game room for a couple hours or, hang out with them, and then you just bring them back. And so do that. If you can't trust him to do that, then that's a sign that he may not be right for your son at this point in his life. But if you can trust him to take him and then bring him back, then do that. And it's not about you having to see him. And when you break up and you move on, it should be about business. At that point, it's only about the kids. So he shouldn't have refrigerator rights. He shouldn't be able to come over and come in and sit on the couch and kick his feet up, because then at that point, it makes him realize and feel like, oh, you know what? I have all power here. I have all say so here. I can do what I want to do. I still run the place. She can never have another man in here because I get to come in and sit on the couch and, get something to drink. You have to cut all of that out. You cut all of that out and it just becomes about business. It's about his son, your son, and you give him his visitation hours. And if you just, you have to be mature enough to talk to him, and it shows him that you're strong, and you just don't answer questions about anything else. So about you and him, about who you're dating, about what he did. You're not addressing that. You're not talking about that. You're not asking questions. You're not answering questions. It's only about your son. And so in that situation, that's what you're focused on. And so you set it up to where you can handle it. So if you can be okay just seeing him for a second to open the door and hand off your son to him, then do that. If it's so bad and you're so angry, then have a mediator do it and let him know, such and such will be here. I'm tied up, working crazy hours, studying or whatever it may be. And if he's not okay with that, if he's not okay with coming to the door and just being handed off, his son very quickly and you going back to what you're doing, or somebody else handing off your son, then that lets you know he has other motives, and it's not about your son. It's about you. It's about being in your face. It's about letting you see him. It's about, strengthening that soul tie, digging up those old feelings. And that's what it's about. And so but you won't know unless you test him to see. If it's about your son, he doesn't care if a donkey hands off your son to him. He doesn't care who it is that's saying, hey, how you doing? Here's little Johnny. Here's a note from how he's doing. Just a little update for you. And see you when you get back. He won't care if that's, your family member or your best friend, if it's about your son. If it's not about your son, and he still has feelings, he still wants to have some say-so, some control in your life, then he will get irate about that. You're not wrong for leaving. You're not wrong at all. He's showing you who he is. He's showing you that, hey, if everything isn't going great in our relationship, if everything isn't going my way, if you're too busy pursuing your dreams, I'm going to cheat on you. I'm going to stay with this other woman, stay with her. No man is staying in a woman's place and not doing something sexually, or at least trying to. So it's a huge possibility that, there was some infidelity. You don't know for sure. But even just him going over there and staying all night is sign enough that, you know what, you're on something else. You're not for me. Let me move on. So don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about moving on. Create those boundaries and work on breaking the soul ties and healing. But he's right. You can't keep his son away from him. That would just be wrong, because your son needs that interaction. If he's a good person, a good father, your son needs that interaction. Your son needs him in his life, and that's a necessity. And you don't want to block that over your feelings, because then it's not just about you. Then you would eventually be hurting your son. So allow him to be there. Allow him to be in your life. Protect yourself. Keep the distance, and keep growing and building you. And you said you'll never give him another chance. Keep your word. You've tried it. You've given him chance after chance. He keeps blowing it. So keep your word and move on with your life. Hey, thank you so much for sending in your questions. If you have a question, please send it in to inbox@tonygaskins.com, and I'll answer it either here on the podcast or in a video on my Facebook page. So you can go to my Facebook too and click the like button so you can see questions of the day that I post on there. Thank you so much. Again, another episode, and we will talk soon.